Okay, this video is dedicated to my dad. He's a big Warren Buffett fan, and I'm just going to look at 3 or 4 Warren Buffett quotes and see how they relate to Bitcoin. So, quote number 1 is rule number 1, never lose money. Rule number 2, never forget rule number 1. So, I have this developing theory of money, and I think like the Surinamese peso is money, but it's not as money as the Canadian dollar, which is not as money as the US dollar. So moneyness is really on a spectrum, and Bitcoin is money. You can use it to buy stuff at Dell, Microsoft, Victoria's Secret, all these places, but it's not accepted everywhere. A lot of people don't know what it is. Anyway, it is money, and its moneyness is increasing over time. So by investing in Bitcoin, we're not breaking Warren Buffett's rule number 1. Quote number 2, never invest in a business that you can't understand. And you can think of Bitcoin as a competitor to dollars. And let's sort of judge our understanding of each of those two monies. So by asking some simple questions, like how many Bitcoin exist? Okay, so yesterday there was 13,780,475. We can check that. We can verify that. The blockchain is, public record. How many Canadian dollars exist? Well, if you look at the website of the Bank of Canada, it suddenly becomes a very complicated question because there's two narrow measures of money, M1 plus and M1 plus plus, and then there's 4 broad measures of money or Canadian dollars. So asking how many Canadian dollars, it's a really complicated question. I mean, maybe there's an answer, but I don't know what it is, and understanding these things and figuring out is difficult. Okay, what about the future? How many Bitcoin will be created in the future? Now, this graph is an approximation. In fact, there's a few little wobbles in here, especially in the early days. But in the early days, 50 Bitcoin were created every block, which came out about approximately every 10 minutes. And now we're into 25 every 10 minutes. And after 4 years of that, we in 12 and a half and 6 and a quarter, until there's approaching 21 million Bitcoin. This is hard-coded into Bitcoin. For 6 years, it's followed this path almost exactly. It's fairly certain that it will continue to follow this path. So what about dollars? I don't have the graph for Canadian dollars, but here's one for US dollars from Wikipedia. And starting in the 70s, there was about, it looks like there was about $500 billion in the 80s, and then $1 trillion in 2008. And then it really spiked with the financial crisis, 2012, 2015. I don't know whether we're here or there. And there's no real projection. We don't know how many US dollars there will be in the year 2020, for example. It could be a quadrillion, it could be a quintillion, who knows? It's pretty much up to the whim of the central banks. So who gets newly created Bitcoin? Well, that goes to the miners, and they're the people who perform the necessary function of processing every Bitcoin transaction. Who gets newly created dollars? Well, I don't really know. Banks, I guess, but I don't really know. If somebody knows, tell me in the comments below, please. And then finally, interest rates are also something that's decided by central banks. And, in the last half year, the oil prices have really tanked. And countries that are reliant on oil exports for their income, like Russia and Canada, have seen their currencies devalue. I guess this is a natural thing. Now, in response, the Russian government increased interest rates in order to prop up the value of their currency. And then the Bank of Canada decided to decrease their interest rates in order to take out some insurance against lower oil prices. So this kind of mixed messages from central banks further adds to my confusion and uncertainty about dollars. I really don't understand dollars. There's things about Bitcoin that I don't understand as well, but the important things about Bitcoin are very clear and they're transparent and public, and that's not the case with dollars and euros and yen, etc. Buffett quote number 3, without passion, you don't have energy. Without energy, you have nothing. So Bitcoin has been called a cult by some of its greatest critics, and I feel like I'm in that cult. Like, I'm really excited about Bitcoin because I see how much the internet has changed the world. The internet's an open platform that anyone can build on, and the same is true with Bitcoin. Bitcoin allows anybody to accept payments from anybody in the world directly, and that's how commerce happens, through paying people. And commerce is the way we exchange goods and services, and that's how we become richer with things we want and things we can do. So I'm excited about Bitcoin and its potential to transform the world, and a lot of other people are too. And we're free to build on Bitcoin, make YouTube videos like this, or build apps like just Google Bitcoin apps. I mean, there's tons out there. And then just looking at the second half of this quote, with energy, you have nothing. And I think one of the greatest indicators of the health of Bitcoin is how much energy it uses. There's some academics who've estimated that it uses about as much electricity as all of Ireland. And we can having an argument about whether that's environmentally efficient is sort of another post. I have an essay about Bitcoin and global warming, which I'll put in the link below. But this metabolism, this growing metabolism that Bitcoin has, to me, is really an indicator of the health of Bitcoin and the unlikeliness that it will have to die. Okay, Bitcoin Buffett quote number 4. We, I think that's Berkshire Hathaway, simply attempt to be fearful when others are greedy, and greedy when others are fearful. Now, I'm not a big chart guy. There's a lot of Bitcoin traders who look at the 12-hour, 24-hour, week-long charts, or even year-long charts, and try to predict where the price is going to go. And that's not me. I buy and sell Bitcoin to increase liquidity, whatever price it's at. But looking at the long-term chart, the complete trading history of Bitcoin, I think is really illustrative of where Bitcoin is going. I mean, this is a clear exponential growth chart. It's a logarithmic chart, so a perfectly straight line will be perfectly exponential. And the last year has been a bad one for price. It's gone from 1,000 to 230. But it's been through these hard times before. 4 or 5 times, and it's always rebounded. And Bitcoin, the code, the usefulness of the ecosystem has only grown larger in this time. Back here, there was one ATM in the world. Now there's over 350. I mean, multi-signature security has been really gone widespread, which is a huge benefit to Bitcoin, as well as the number of people who know about it, the number of stores that accept it. So really, I think this is a fantastic time to buy, because if you continue this trend, we're looking at about here, which is about $10,000 in 2016. I don't think a 20-fold increase is unreasonable at all in the next year. So that's my video, and I hope you liked it. Please press like, and feel free to leave some comments below.